The young lady was drinking tea in small sips. She didn't want to drink much, and the abundance of liquid was fraught with consequences. The fact is that the 19th century was not adapted to the needs of women. Today's topic is suffragists. In the 19th century, a woman was supposed to be beautiful, sophisticated, and modest. But there were also ladies who were very intelligent, educated, well-read, and brave. They didn't want to be just a shadow of their husband. Society did not like such women. Their boldness seemed pretentious and arrogant. Even with the time of the Middle Ages, it was in England that women lived the worst in all of Europe. For example, you all remember King Henry VIII and his 6 wives? Every time after the divorce, the King of England took all the jewelry from the previous wife and gave the jewelry to the new wife. The fact is that previously all the wife's property originally belonged to her husband. And jewelry used to be worn more by men than by women. Women dressed more modestly, without bright rubies, diamonds, and emeralds. And the men decorated their clothes with precious stones. In the 19th century, little changed for women. All the wife's property belonged to her husband. If the wife had property, for example, an atelier or a hat shop, then the husband could well bequeath all this to his favorite or illegitimate children. A husband could withdraw money from his wife's bank account without her consent, even if the couple quarreled or the husband left the house. At that time, it was a man's legal right to leave his wife to vegetate in poverty. Some women have been able to turn this law in their favor. The husband was obliged to support and protect his wife no matter what she did. Gentlemen believed that women do not need unnecessary difficulties when there is a man. Caroline Norton was born in 1807 in London. At the age of 20, she married a lawyer who was a real tyrant. Family life didn't work out. The husband took his sons and took them away from his wife. As it turned out, the boys died, and Caroline didn't even know about it. Caroline wrote books, which was what she did for a living. But her husband stripped her to the skin. Then Caroline began to dress in the most fashionable and expensive ateliers, and the bill came in the name of her husband. By law, he was obliged to pay all his wife's expenses. Caroline's husband did not expect such revenge from her. Bailiffs beat the doorsteps of an unhappy lawyer who did not have the money to pay off all the accumulated debts. It was thanks to Caroline Norton that laws were gradually passed in the UK allowing women to have some property and personal funds. Tyranny in families was a frequent phenomenon, but the blame fell entirely on the shoulders of a woman who, in the opinion of society, was guilty of something or did not yield to her husband. So, a woman was considered a weak and stupid creature, compounding everything with fashion. The woman was obliged to wear tight corsets, an abundance of skirts and tight heels. The girl moved very slowly and most often in a carriage. Drinking outside was not recommended, just as only 1 cup of tea was allowed at a party. After all, the need to visit the toilet could become an unprecedented embarrassment for a woman. There were no women's public toilets at that time, unlike men's toilets. At home, the ladies used a bordaloo or a chamber pot. The most difficult thing was for pregnant women, who, in addition to the corset, could even torment themselves with thirst. Let me explain that pregnant women often abruptly and suddenly want to go to the toilet. It may seem like a long time ago, but I think that the great-grandmothers of modern man could well have caught that period. Back in the 1910s, suffragettes fought fiercely for their rights in the UK so that they would be allowed to vote. Gradually, women began to get rid of uncomfortable clothes, preferring comfort rather than aesthetics in the eyes of the male population. Yes, even these days, not all women are comfortable wearing the same heels. The female population of Great Britain received voting rights only in 1928, less than 100 years ago. Then the women defended some of their rights. However, to this day, many women are fighting for equal pay. Gender wage inequality does not suit women. That's right. Why should women receive less than men with the same working capacity? Women in 19th century Britain did not have the right to vote and their financial resources. Women were just comfortable for men. They did not adjust to women and listen to their opinions. But with financial independence, any woman feels a certain freedom. From now on, women don't need to please anyone, as long as they feed her and don't leave her on the street. I will be glad if you subscribe to my YouTube channel.